MJ, you wanted to see me?
Yeah, we have to have a serious talk, Peter.
Did you see that old couple holding hands in the park, MJ? Maybe we could be like that one day.
Yeah, see, this is why we have to talk. You're always crying.
MJ, what are you saying?
We should see other people.
But I'm Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, more like Crier-Man.
Did you say something?
Yeah, we should break up. This isn't working out.
Yeah, but my Uncle Ben said with great power comes great responsibility. Hey, he's dead now.
Peter, your uncle got that from a fortune cookie.
You like fried rice?
Okay. And you still live with your aunt. I mean, you have been in high school for like 10 years now, and what's with that gooey stuff that comes out of your wrist? Sometimes it shoots out sporadically without any warning, like that time we went to my cousin's wedding. You got it all over my favorite dress and all in my hair. It was like bubblegum. I had to use peanut butter and vinegar to get it out.
So I got a little excited when I saw you in that dress, MJ.
Peter, I had it. We're through. Goodbye.
But I'm Spider-Man! Oh, MJ sure looks good today. Oh no! Not again! This is so embarrassing. Anyone have a Kleenex?
This is JPar, and you are listening to the We Promise Nothing Show. Tonight on the show, we have Clayton and we have Dabu. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi. And we are going to be reviewing Spider-Man, the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man, bringing us all the way back
to...
What?
Two?
Just the first one.
No, we're doing the first.
Oh, we're doing the...
What does it matter?
I Spider-Man as well. Good save. Spider-Man 2.
That's what he meant.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay, all right.
I mean, we're doing the 2002 Spider-Man. Is that what you meant to say, Clayton?
Yeah, that is what I...
All right, let's carry on with the show then. Anyways, the 2002 Spider-Man. Directed by Sam Raimi, starring Tobey Maguire and Willem Dafoe, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, J.K. Simmons, because he's J. Jonah Jameson, fucking right, and, others. Hey, I didn't know that Joe Manganiello, whatever that says, it was Flash Thompson in that movie. I didn't realize that.
No, me neither.
Manganiello.
There's probably a lot of more Easter eggs in this one than we thought there would be.
And we know him from
True Blood, obviously. And Pee-wee's Big Birthday. And
I think he was playing
Magic Mike
Deathstroke.
XXL.
Right? He was playing Deathstroke? Yeah. That's what he's playing, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe he's also... I could be wrong. No, I'm thinking of a different actor. Never mind.
I was thinking of a different actor, too.
I thought it was... he looked very...
I thought it was Preacher.
He's in Magic Mike as Big Dick Richie. Come on, guys. That's where we know him.
No,
Wait,
I was about to misplace him as...
I've never seen that movie.
Crossbones. I thought he was the Crossbones villain in the Marvel franchise. He's got the jawline and the build, but it's not the same actor. So
It's
my
okay.
apologies.
Oh.
My apologies, too, because I thought he was Preacher.
Magic Mike.
But he is the new Deathstroke, so I am looking forward to that. Sorry, moving on.
Hot for
I mean, if they do that movie, any hoots. Yeah, so, I mean, you guys have seen this Spider-Man. I mean, this is the original Spider-Man, and it was something when it came out. It was actually, I was actually amazed that it took them that long to actually make a good Spider-Man movie. But, I mean, it's kind of, I guess it would have been hard to do. Anyways.
Before CG.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever see that old 80s Spider-Man series?
Oh,
It's
God.
really bad.
So campy is not even funny.
I may have, but I'm pretty sure that my 10-year-old mind probably purposely blocked it out.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think any of us were ever coerced into looking at it because
It was in the
everyone
70s.
who knew of it was that bad.
You're not talking about
think
the
it was in
old
the
cartoon,
70s.
eh?
No, not the
I'm
cartoon.
not talking about the cartoon. I'm talking about the old TV
live-action
series.
TV series.
Legit, hey?
It's almost as
Yes.
cringy as the the Hulk original TV series.
Well, no, the Hulk show was better than
It was, but
Lou
only...
Ferrigno. That was awesome.
Yeah, that one had definitely more potential and a lot more star power.
It's sad
but
walking away music.
the Spider-Man TV show, on the other hand, opposite.
What? So who played Spider-Man in that?
Oh, who knows? Just some bum.
Some jobber.
Some jobber. See, it won't even come up in IMDb because it's so bad. Even they don't want to fucking remember.
IMDb's like, fuck.
IMDb, like, yeah, fuck you. We're not looking up that piece of shit.
You don't want to see that shit.
All right, so let's get into first impressions. In 2002, where were you, and were you excited to see a Spider-Man movie, Clayton?
Where was I? What was I doing?
Did you see it in the theater?
2002. I can't honestly remember. I can't remember. I am like a big Willem Dafoe fan, as such as it is, like as big of a Willem
He's a good
Dafoe
actor
fan as you can be. And I've always been a big Spider-Man fan, but I don't really remember when I saw this one the first time. Actually,
really,
I think I
didn't
saw
stick
it.
with you.
Not a great memorable experience then.
No, well, Tobey Maguire though was just.
At the time, did
Tobey
he really...
Maguire was like a poor man's
Spider-Man. A poor man's Peter Parker.
Yeah, but hold on.
Tobey Maguire was a poor man's what's his name there who plays Frodo from Lord of the Rings. Elijah Wood.
Yeah,
like
a poor man's Elijah.
yeah, and I was like,
that's
I
good.
Just can't get into this guy. Yeah,
but
I'll admit, I don't think I started saying that exact sentence up until I think
he's a poor man's Elijah Wood.
I don't think you ever said
specifically
that.
No,
I don't think anyone ever said that sentence till now.
I never used that.
Sorry,
sentence.
you're right. You claimed that sentence. No, I'm talking about the sheer fact of acknowledging that we weren't really too fond of his performance overall. I didn't say that though overall until we saw the third Spider-Man movie, which is the worst of all of them.
Well, it's just,
and we're not even going to talk about that, but I think it's just safe to say.
Well, I'm sure we'll touch upon it.
I think at the very we will at one point. Elijah Wood. Now, Tobey Maguire, in my opinion, had at the time I think the right range to be able to give us a little bit of emotion with a little bit of the teenage angst, even though he was nowhere near the look of a teenager. And in better yet, we had to see him as an awkward teenager, and he has some awkward moments. So I saw some of that.
We will get into his performance in just a second. Let's get past the first impressions first.
Well, that's part of it, right? Because it's kind of hard to look so far back now and not see how we were affected by this. I think. Sorry, I don't know if you've had a chance to mention it, but I think for me,
you said you didn't remember.
I do remember seeing it in theaters, but only vaguely. I don't remember the specifics, and I don't even know if I was actually blown away or just simply impressed. If there's one thing I can honestly say, as a Spider-Man fan overall, I was excited to see a live-action film with a proper amount of CG to say that, okay, that's Spider-Man, no ifs, ands, or buts. There was some gripes, obviously, over time, but my impressions going in, I think simply said, was that I was excited to see something fresh. Wasn't this right around the time when we started getting the official Marvel movies too, or was it just before that too?
This was still before, I think.
This is not MCU. MCU doesn't hit us until Iron Man and Incredible Hulk.
But Iron Man was like when 2004 or 5.
I get that too, but I'm saying like the start of official comic book movies. I think
they were starting to come around.
Not really. XMen.
Marvel. You know
Blade.
What? I guess I could say that.
Yeah, but I mean, like the when they Marvel started
X-Men was the turning point.
So
X-Men's the turning point. Yeah. Like, because comic book movies were in the dumpster because of Batman and Robin.
That ran it into the ground.
They friggin' sabotaged that series, and then because of that, bat nipples and bat credit cards ruined that, and ice puns ruined that, and then nobody wanted to touch a friggin' superhero franchise because it's like, oh my god, Batman and Robin was terrible. We don't want to make that kind of movie again.
I kind of like the ice punch.
No, but but then
and then X-Men changed things.
Yeah, but then Spider-Man kind of did. I mean,
it did. It definitely did. So here's where I'm at coming into Spider-Man. I really wanted them to make like a good Spider-Man movie because I'm like, for me, I found it was weird that we haven't gotten a good Spider-Man movie at this point. We did Batman, we had Superman, and we even had X-Men at this point. And I remember when I went to go see X-Men, and you guys can listen to my X-Men review and you'll hear me shit all over that movie, even though I gave it a 3, but X-Men was so disappointing to me. I'm like, okay, you guys kind of did, this is a mediocre movie. And when I get to this movie, when I got to Spider-Man, I was like, oh, just please don't fuck it up. Please get the characters right. And when I watched it, I was actually quite amazed because I'm like, oh shit, that's from the comic. Uncle Ben dies. Oh man, that's exactly like from the comic. Oh, he fights a wrestler, Macho Man? That's like in the comic too. They just pulled so much. Even the way that Green Goblin dies at the end, his battle on the bridge, they pulled so much from the comic that I was completely okay with this movie when I came. Like, I was like, okay, like, you know what? This is a good starting point. Like, it wasn't perfect. Like, I didn't really like the casting for Parker, but, I didn't like the casting for Parker or Mary Jane, but I found everyone else was cast perfectly, and then I just, so I was actually pleased.
So I feel like it would be a lot more fun to review this movie like it's 2019 and not like it's 2002.
We are going to do that, but that's why I'm telling you what my first impressions are.
This is why when reviewing a movie like this so many years later...
Calm. Don't blow your load all in the first 10 minutes, man. We got a whole rest of the show to go.
My wrists are cocked.
My wrists are cocked.
Whip.
All right, so... Since you're so anxious to dig into this movie, why don't you get into your rating? And we're going to break this down to 5 stars, folks, as per usual. Don't give away your best and worst yet, because we're going to save that for later.
Okay, I'm not a big Tobey Maguire fan. But I'll give it
No way!
I'll give the movie a 3.5.
He's a poor man's Elijah Wood.
I'll give it Elijah would have done this job better.
Elijah wouldn't.
Elijah wouldn't.
Wah, wah.
You take that back. I'm gonna give it a 3.5, but that's because it's 2019 and the CG in this movie has aged horribly. Like some of the aesthetics too didn't really land all that well, but like you said, they hit all the story beats and everything, so it's solid. It's still worth watching, sort of. But I can't keep wishy-washy. I'll say 3.5, and it was worth watching.
All right, and Dabu.
Well, I think originally I had started on a 3.5 out of 5. Kind of similar to what I think you had mentioned, not just the CG, but with some of the little gripes, I think, without getting into specifics, I had to bring it down to a 3. I want to give it a 3.5, because I think that's, in my mind, back when I had first seen this, I think like you, Jay, there were a lot of these perfect notes. Maybe I shouldn't use the word perfect. Just proper notes that actually were hit right. Simply said, it was a lot of that's the origin story arc. A lot of the specifics that you said were pulled out of the comics, I would never have known of that. But I appreciated them all the same because they were little details that if you look at the whole picture, for instance, him going up against a wrestler for the first time. He doesn't know what he's capable of when going toe-to-toe with an opponent, right?
With Bonesaw!
And it was
you!
And that's
5 minutes! 5 minutes of playtime.
And speaking of Bonesaw, clearly that was
Bonesaw is ready!
Yeah, we know we heard that.
Yeah, well, I wanted to say it again because Macho Man is awesome.
Jason flexes into the microphone.
I did flex,
but that's exactly what I mean. Like, because they had like those memorable moments. It was a great little cameo with Randy Savage there.
Was
that Randy Savage? I was today years old when I learned that.
Are you being serious?
Another thing too, we always talk and complain about how too many origin stories are revisited, and I think this could be one of them, right? Because we saw several other Spider-Man movies that came out much later, and they could have just as easily tackled that whole origin story every single time, and I felt like we almost did.
Kind of did an Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, but a little shorter if you look at it overall. Like, they skipped the whole wrestling scenario. They kind of shoved him into high school.
He got chased by some crooks and he fell into a wrestling ring in Amazing
But it was still
Spider-Man.
brief.
Yeah,
it wasn't that he was in the wrestling ring with.
They killed your Uncle Ben. No, that's Martin Sheen. That's not Uncle. Yeah. They didn't kill Uncle Ben. That's Martin Sheen. Yeah. What are you talking about? That's not Uncle Ben.
I think another thing to consider is that because we've had different casted people for each of their roles, Aunt May, my favorite Aunt May, is the first Aunt May. I don't know what it is, but I preferred that. Sally Field, who played in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I had a harder time, but I absolutely love Field's. Sally's acting, she has a really great range. She can play a lot of different types of characters, and if you give her time, she could sell it to you without even trying. She's got so much talent to her that I appreciate what she brings. But at the same time, an Aunt May character, it was harder to see her as an Aunt May. I don't know why.
Aunt May. So never forget your first.
Oh. Jesus.
So what are you saying? You don't like Aunt Tomei?
Aunt Tomei. Marissa.
What?
Oh, nice. Clever.
I didn't catch on that.
So you don't like Aunt Tomei?
Aunt Tomei? Who's Aunt Tomei?
Marissa Tomei? The actress?
The new
I guess.
May?
Maybe.
Aunt May.
Goes to show you how much
with that, or?
I think when we reviewed the last time, I think, right? When we did Spider-Man?
All right.
Homecoming?
This is not our first rodeo.
No, yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, long story short, I have to bring it back down to a 3 because there was a lot of little stupidities along the way that now when I look back on it, they like you said, Clay, they don't stand the test of time.
No.
And it's sad because when you rely on certain, whether it be the effects or the way you present the material that you have in its limited form, prime example, the CG that was lacking from Green Goblin. What do? They shove him? No, I can't even say. These are specifics. The point is, these are all details you look at later on, like now, and they just don't stand that test of time. So, yeah, sadly, it downgraded from a 3.5 to a 3 out of 5 for me. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, I would say when I first saw this movie, I probably would have given it a 4. And I totally agree. It does not stand the test of time. It is a 3.5 for me. And it's because it's a lot because of what I said. I don't like the casting for the two main characters, which is Mary Jane and Peter Parker. I actually found like they're not completely miscast, but they are miscast. Like my number one gripe with this is Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. He fucking kills me in this movie. Like, stop crying, you little bitch! You're fucking Spider-Man, you asshole! Like, fuck!
Yeah.
Like, goddamn, stop being a little fucking crybaby. And it's like, it would have been fine, okay? It would have been fine. You know, I can handle him crying about Uncle Ben's death. But when you get into the second movie and the third movie, and just after you've seen these movies, and by the time you get the third one, he's like emo Spider-Man. You're like, what is going on? Like, why does Peter Parker just fucking cry like a little bitch all the time?
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Uncle Ben died in the first movie. Yeah, that's why he's sad. Like, okay, it's time. We can move on.
Yeah.
And as you guys said, the effects don't hold up. Like, Green Goblin's Power Ranger outfit, that's another scene
That's
that
what I was
kills
gonna
me.
say, man.
just
So
didn't
the
wanna-
trim on the Spider-Man suit in this one, like the scene where Spider-Man and Osborn and Green Goblin are on the roof.
That's the
It
worst
looks
scene.
it looks like fucking the trim on the Spider-Man suit makes him look like a running shoe, and Green Goblin looks like a discarded power armor from the fucking Power Rangers movie.
Funny you bring up a
Like-
running shoe because in the Amazing Spider-Man series, they went that extra step and gave him running shoes that were, part of his outfit. Did you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
You don't remember that?
Yeah.
It was more creatively used, but I know what you mean by how the seams... of
the
this-
whole thing, like the seams on the suit and everything, he looks like a friggin' like a Nike running shoe. Like, it's just weird.
It's like they took... It reminded me of like they took like a... If it was possible, they took a basketball and they punctured it and they flattened it out and they say, okay, this is going to be the material his outfit is going to be out of. And he had to put multiple basketballs next to each other to create one long... Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just looked dumb. Like the material they used just wasn't thought of properly.
fashioned this costume from old basketball skins.
But we might have to admit, I'm just glad they didn't just use spandex, because that could have been an easy turn to, and it would have looked even worse. They needed a texture to it, which I'm glad they did
definitely.
fine, but it's
Yeah.
not the right texture.
I find that they do that in a lot of the superhero movies, though. If you guys notice, like back in the day, like you guys remember New Adventures of Lois and Clark, when it was when a Superman, he wore a spandex.
Yes, he
right?
did.
And then it doesn't translate well to the big screen, right? Because you're like, he's wearing like a leotard.
You need to wear armor or something.
But then
Usually.
when you
Batman,
see like
they
the
put
new
Batman in
Superman-
armor,
Yeah,
basically.
Batman's got armor, but like, you see the new Superman, you see Spider-Man, and all of them. They have that like weird
Yes.
hexagonal texture,
It's very
multi-layers.
cool. It looks good.
It looks high tech.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not using a sewing machine to make that.
Right.
I'm just saying, like he made
Even
this
though
in
Parker did make his costume himself.
Well, that's what I mean. He made it in his costume in his own place, but like, where the fuck did he get that material? Like,
And that's the
Oh,
thing.
this
and
is nice.
And here's
Like-
another thing. This Parker didn't make his own webbing, so we know he's not the genius that he's supposed to be in these. Right?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to cut right in here, and I'm going to do my best and my worst for
Let's
you
get
guys.
right to it.
Because I already said that. I kind of already gave it away. That scene, and you said it, the scene where they talk on the roof
yeah.
is the worst scene. So that's probably the worst scene, and also my other thing that I don't like about this movie is the casting of Tobey Maguire. It fucking bothers me. And I don't really like Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane. It's the funny thing is, like Dave, you said that you liked this first Aunt May.
Yep.
And I like the casting for everyone in this movie. I think the casting for everyone is pitch perfect, except the two main characters. Like, Uncle Ben is awesome. Like, Aunt May is exactly how I would picture Aunt May.
Yeah.
J. Jonah Jameson is played by J.K. Simmons, the best J. Jonah Jameson there is, which is why they recast him. And they recast him as J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, yeah, he got a phone call. Maybe Tobey Maguire sitting by the phone waiting for his phone call.
No, Tobey Maguire is not allowed to come back ever.
They had J.K. Simmons call him. Parker! Maguire! You're not getting the job!
Give me a phone!
Get out of here, you bum!
Get out of here, you webhead!
You're never gonna work in this town again!
So, yes, that's my least favorite. Casting of Toby and stupid Power Ranger outfit on the Green Goblin while he's talking to Spider-Man in that one scene. My favorite is all the comic book notes that they hit, and the casting of everyone else. Willem Dafoe, James Franco, the Aunt May, the Uncle Ben, even Macho Man Randy Savage. Bruce Campbell's in this movie. I mean, come on. This movie is awesome until you get to the two main people who are cast. And so, yeah. And also, like I said, the other thing that's probably the best thing about this movie is the fact that they pulled from the comics. I feel this was the first comic book movie to pull from the comics and pay homage to the comics. So for the first time, I felt like, holy shit, Sam Raimi actually read Spider-Man comics. He knows what's going on. He knows what the story is. Holy crap, we can make a good movie out of the content from the comic books. This is amazing. Because X-Men didn't do that. They're just like, Wolverine's in Canada. The Rogue can absorb powers, I guess. Like, they didn't know what they were doing, right? They're just like, I guess this is what X-Men's like. You know? But for Spider-Man, they actually tried, and as hokey as it was for some of the scenes that they did, they committed. And it doesn't surprise me, because Sam Raimi is the king of B movies, so it's like, it makes those B budget effects anyway, so it kind of doesn't surprise me that you needed someone a little campy to pull this off. And that's my best and worst.
Totally understandable.
Clayton.
All of it.
I hope I left something for you guys.
Well, that rooftop scene is bad. I mean, it's like world-class bad. Like,
it is.
Annals of movie making, it's like a #1 no-no. If you're not going to break the budget on special effects, please don't stick the camera 2 feet away from the actors. You know what I mean? Like, I hate the Michael Bay's Transformers movies. I'm not a fan. I'm a huge Transformers fan, like from way back.
Did you see Bumblebee?
When I was a kid? No, I haven't seen
Bumblebee is good.
Okay, all right. So getting on it, we'll take that as a sidebar, and I'm going to check out Bumblebee now. Based just on that.
It's more like watching the Transformers cartoon.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I agree. I'm going to agree.
But anyways, the thing about Michael Bay was that in the first Transformers movie, because they weren't sure if he was going to be able to do a good job of it, and they couldn't break the bank with special effects, they had to do it on a budget. What they did was the fight scenes and the transforming scenes with the Transformers, they kind of off-screened them. They minimized them. They kind of worked around the technology. And I have to give them props for that, because it actually worked really well, because while I was watching the movie, I didn't notice that. And then before that, along comes Spider-Man. Hey, let's get up on the roof and get right in these fucking guys' faces. They're like, it's a flat angle. They're like, Parker's laying on whatever roof thing that is there.
Yeah.
And to his credit, Willem Dafoe is really trying to act out his character. But it doesn't matter, because the suit is plastic.
Yes.
You can't see the emotion. He's like, I got you now, you son of a bitch. And
he's just like, we should join together.
And all you see is this plastic helmet kind of jankling around like a Halloween costume. And it's like, okay, so we've got this really great dramatic scene where the hero is like getting the shit knocked out of him, and it looks like the bad guy.
Hero's defeated.
Yeah.
And villain wants to join forces with him, giving him an ultimatum.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like nothing there, because, well, I'm pretty sure Peter's wearing a mask in that one too.
Yes, they're both wearing masks.
So you're talking about a scene where they're both supposed to be conveying a lot of emotion, but because of how they got to that point, they both had to leave the masks on. They might as well have just shot the thing in the dark. It might as well have been a podcast with no video to convey emotion.
Who would do something like that?
Right?
Terrible.
Yeah, you know what? Here's this awesome emotional scene and nothing. So it was just a really strange. Like some of the direction choices were just really strange, and they really dragged the movie down for me.
If I remember correctly, too, I think Spider-Man only had a portion of his mask torn off.
I
don't even think it was torn off at that point.
I think it was not to say torn off, but it was like a portion of his eye was showing and all that. Like you could tell.
I think that's later on. I don't think it's in that scene.
You don't think? I thought he had gotten.
That's later on.
I can't really remember because
I'm pretty
it's
certain
like staring at the sun. You know, like I get to that part and I'm like,
it is. It
really
is.
You would rather stare at the sun, is what you're saying?
I'm looking at myself.
When I get to that, I agree though. When I get to that scene, it just takes me right out of the movie. Like I don't feel like watching the movie. I'm like, God, I just gotta get past this fucking scene, and then the rest of the movie's good.
Yeah,
like,
I got some laundry I can do right now.
No, it's funny that you guys bring up that scene on both of your ends because that was actually not to say on my list my worst scene.
He still has to do his best.
No, I know. That's why I just started mentioning.
I don't even know what my best is. My best.
J.K. Simmons.
My best.
Parker.
Give
me those photos, Parker.
If I'm gonna pick on the movie for the direction, like for the camera direction, then I gotta say like not the special effects so much, but just the fact that we got a big screen Spider-Man that wasn't some cheap spandex. They gave a shit, right? Like somebody, like you said, somebody walked into the writing table there at the first read or the first draft and brought in a stack of their old comics and was like, here's the story. Mm-hmm. All we got to do is get it to the big screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't, like, Raimi was probably like, we don't have to do any of the work. These guys did the work way back when Spider-Man first came out. They wrote the whole story. All we got to do is get that from there up onto the screen. Yeah. And so that was pretty awesome.
Yes.
So that would have to be my best.
Excellent.
It's a good reasoning.
Yeah, you know what? That was such a good review, Clayton. It got my Peter tingle going.
Peter Parkle.
Peter Tingle! It's a thing.
Peter Tingle.
It is.
My spider sense is tingling, warning me of bad touch.
Bad touch. Wow.
Right. Yeah, that's my best and worst.
Aunt Tomei's bad touch.
Aunt Tomei.
Oh, she can bad touch me any day.
See, that's why I have to call her Aunt Tomei, because she's not Aunt May to me. Aunt May is that old elderly lady in the first one. I can't call Marissa Tomei Aunt May, because she's not Aunt May. She's like fucking so young and hot. It doesn't make any sense. That's not Aunt May.
That's the thing, too. Like, we're getting older, and Aunt May, like, we're approaching Aunt May's age, and, like... when the first Spider-Man movies came out, we were like, old Aunt May, old wizened mage sage woman.
Aunt May's like supposed to be 80. Like, yeah. Marissa Tomei's like...
And now we're getting older and like, Aunt May's looking pretty good.
Yeah, Aunt Tomei's looking really good.
Peter and Uncle Ben's gone, right?
Oh boy.
Believe it or not, though, I think that's exactly why they avoid using the terms, the term Aunt May. It was just May. Don't they just say May most of the time?
Does. Yeah, he does call her May a lot, but still, it's still weird.
Oh, I know.
It doesn't matter.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that's something I had noticed because when someone is literally referred to as Aunt May, I think of as an older woman sometimes. It's an aunt. I'm not saying all aunts are old people. I'm just saying an aunt is usually someone much older than the person that they're relating to in their conversation.
I am 39 years old. For about 35 years of that, Aunt May was old and elderly.
Yeah, that's true.
No, you're right.
I really just kind of came around to her this year. Yeah, you know what? She's on the field.
She's an option.
Eligible.
If she was a real character, she'd be available.
If she was a real person.
Anyways, so let's stop talking about Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. Let's get back to the original Spider-Man and Dave's best and worst.
All right. I do want to get my worst out of there because I felt like you guys did a good job at talking about that scene with them on the roof. That wasn't the one that took me out faster, though. I got taken out of the movie much sooner than that and I think I've said this to you before, Jay, this moment of Peter saves the day and then him and MJ are swinging in the air.
Oh.
That brief moment, as you talked about the camera getting too close.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember vaguely, and I remember strongly what happened, they're swinging, and it's kind of like if MJ was just hugging a dummy.
Yeah.
It was in a fixed pose, and all they did was pivot the camera on an angle. Yeah. It's like, MJ, hug him and pretend like you're swinging. Go! What just happened? Like, seriously? Like,
It's probably a man in a red wig.
no, it's a fucking mannequin.
I mean, Kirsten Dunst is a man in a red wig, holding on to the dummy.
It's like she's hanging off of a bag of russet potatoes. You know what I mean? Like. Kind of dusty now.
That whole scene, that could have been one of the best visual scenes when you're seeing someone swinging from wherever, from point A to point B. And we've seen Spidey swing in a variety of different ways, right? His acrobatics or just, trying to evade an attack or whatever the case may be. This is just one of those simple moments of swinging from one perch to another.
You know what?
In a very simple flow. And they couldn't even bother to do that. Why? Because they had to have a close-up of fucking MJ.
You know what, though? In the second... Yeah, because they had to establish she was there. But in the second one, there's one scene where Spider-Man is swinging and it's, like, really creepy. The camera is, like, 2 feet away from his face. And you can see kind of the city in the background, and he's like very slowly swinging, and it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, what were you guys thinking? It's just weird. You can't really see anything, and it I think they were trying to tell you like trying to get inside of his head to see what he's thinking when he's swinging, but it's weirdly slow and very, I don't know. You know what? This whole trilogy is just a train.
I can understand why you would say that. I mean,
let's not get to the Spider-Man 2 just yet.
Too strong. I will say this though, like I think what you're kind of describing is like the swinging mechanic, if I might describe it that. When we see him in all of these different scenes after all these Spider-Man movies we've had over the years, I think we take it for granted that we started to see the perfection of that swinging mechanic. I keep talking about the acrobatics. I don't know how many times we'll see Spidey in a comic book crest the top of a building, for instance, do a flip and a corkscrew in the air before he gets back into an upright position and then swings to his next destination, right? He does something really cool before he moves on to the next one. In this version of the movie, obviously this is their first baby steps establishing a live-action Spider-Man. I totally get that they tried to limit themselves so they don't pin themselves into a corner where they're like, how do we make this work? How do we make it look like he's actually doing a corkscrew in the air before he goes on to his next swing? Who knows? Maybe the artists back then weren't that knowledgeable with their CG to the point where they wanted to avoid that. So what do we get? We get the opposite end of that spectrum. We get a dummy being hugged by an actual actress, pretending like she's in the fucking moment. And I feel so bad for Kristen Dunst. She could have probably performed so much better if she was given a better situation to work with. Actually have her hugging a guy who's maybe doing, I don't know, a fake swing, and put them in front of a green screen. Do a swing. I don't know. Maybe it's not that easy. Maybe I make it sound easier than it is. But I think that's my point. We take it for granted that the CG we see now just overshadows what they could have done in the past. So,
all I can think of is the scene from the old Adam West Batman where he's supposed to be looking like he's climbing
the side of a building.
And he's actually climbing.
That's how they did the scenes in the old 80s Spider-Man, the 70s, 80s show. They did.
He's just walking along a rope and somebody's like...
He's just like crawling on the ground. They make it look like he's...
Oh my god.
I would be surprised if there's no one on the other end of that rope for either Spidey or Batman and Robin. It's
just two guys standing holding the rope. And then they're like...
Yeah, it's probably tied to something at the other end of the room, and they're keeping it taut so it looks like they're climbing.
Just not unties, the rope just falls to the ground.
I can just imagine if they were taping this, and then mid-tape all of a sudden someone accidentally walked in front of the rope or whatever, and it
they just get a red and blue
Some kids just jump in, they just start doing skip rope.
Or an extra starts walking across the screen, and he forgot. They're climbing up the building.
We jump double dutch like never seen. On what looks like the side of a building. Oh my
so
God.
What's your best thing?
Anyways.
Okay. My best and my favorite aspect of this movie is going back to the proper telling of an origin story, because they could have botched that and it could have fucked up this entire experience of a movie. We're talking about the dated effects and all. That's fine and all. We can pick at that. But if I can't get a proper story established, specifically one that tells you, okay, this is Spider-Man, these are the elements that come directly from the comics, as you pointed out. They even went out of the way to bring in a lot of the little details to make it that more authentic. I would have never noticed it, but because I saw the proper story writing, the quality of writing that was there, that beginning portion of the movie was exactly what I wanted. I think for the rest of the film, it was all about, the magic of seeing this hero in action and then dealing with whatever effects that come with, because you never know what you're getting, right? So for me, it was literally the establishment of the origin story. That was so well done that I think from the following set of movies for any other comic book movie, they've had a hard time doing it well.
They have.
And I'm not saying that every comic book character, villain or hero, has an easy origin story to tell. The ones that are probably the best ones to tell are the ones that have a lot of drama and a lot of turmoil, right? You know, Batman has a very dark story. You know, even if I poke at, you know, the X-Men, for instance, you know, they have an interesting origin story in each of their own individual rights, but that's just too much origin storytelling to tell in one big arc, so they kind of had to skip it, which is unfortunate because each character really deserves that kind of attention. It wasn't until the X-Men First Class that I felt like we started getting proper stories of origin stories, right? So,
but to be honest, like X-Men was never about a single person the way Spider-Man is. X-Men is about the team, so they can kind of put the origin stories together as they feel like because X-Men is all origin stories. That's all it is. Every time they introduce somebody new, they're like, this is their backstory, and then they just add them to the roster, you know what I mean?
X-Men 2 is very much a Wolverine origin story.
They're all... Wolverine's always been the centerpiece of the X-Men movies, like from the get-go.
Which is obvious why, yeah. But don't forget, none of those origin stories were well done. You know, they were established enough that we knew what they were trying to say, but I don't feel like...
as Sabretooth?
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
Disgusting.
I mean, actually, out of all of them, maybe Wolverine might have been the only one. If we're talking specifically X-Men, he was about the only one that I felt like they kept going back and showing his proper origin, right to the point.
What pissed me off, they never gave Storm a proper origin. Like, Storm is such a cool character, and they never did her right.
Yeah, because she was like a street punk, and she, like, you know what I mean? And South African street punk or something like that. She was in a gang and stuff like that, and then Charles
Storm is hardcore.
Yeah, Charles like turned her around and like calmed her down and stuff. That would be an interesting.
And she's like so powerful. She's not powerful at all. Like she's not to where she should be. Okay, so you covered your favorite. You're saying that it was okay.
My favorite was the origin storytelling of Spider-Man in this particular movie. Probably one of the better ones done. And my least favorite. I mean, I picked that specifically the scene where. You know, going back to dated graphics and dated effects, specifically that swing scene with MJ being saved by Spider-Man, I just thought that had to be the corniest fucking scene I've ever seen. You know.
All right, I want to give you guys a little bit of perspective. I think Spider-Man and Batman's been like, well, Batman's obviously been recast the most.
Yep.
Spider-Man hasn't been recast the most, but he's probably been recast the most in the shortest amount of time.
The Hulk?
Hulk
got it like, what, 3 times in
that's true. I didn't think about that. Eric Bana, Edward Norton, and then Ruffalo, and before that was Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, that's 4 different characters.
So that's 4. Okay, that's 4, but that's over a larger span because you're including the Hulk from the TV series.
It is, but if you count just Norton...
Incredible
Ruffalo,
Hulk and Ruffalo. Yeah,
that was pretty quick.
All right, well, we'll take a look at that. But first, I just wanted to take a look at Spider-Man. So the first Spider-Man comes in at 2002, and we got Tobey Maguire. And then they change him about 10 years later to Garfield. And then what was Homecoming is 2017. So we haven't even had 20 years yet of Spider-Man movies, and we've already had 3 different Spider-Man. But we're not going to be getting any more Spider-Man because this Tom Holland's here to stay. So that's good. So let's look at Batman. So let's forget about Adam West because it's not really a movie. But the first Batman's 1989. And that was...
There was a Batman movie based on the Adam West Batman.
Yeah, I know, but we're not going to count.
It was called Batman the Movie, and it was awful.
That's fine. If we're going to count that, then we're going to count the really bad Spider-Man series too. Right?
Yeah,
so let's not do that.
All
right. So this was what, 89? So we had Keaton, and he played him in Batman Returns, and then there was Batman Forever, and we got recast with Val Kilmer. So that's 2 Batmans. That was 95. All right, so 85, 89, 90, so 6 years.
Well, didn't Keaton actually play the first 2 movies?
Yeah.
Yes. And then Batman and Robin, which is god-awful Clooney.
You take that back.
No, I do not take that back. It is god-awful. So that's 97. So that's we're still not at the 10-year mark, are we?
Wow, you're right.
They recast Batman a lot. Okay, and then thankfully we had Christian Bale after with Batman Begins, which saved us.
So that's what, 3, 4?
So that's he would be the 4th one now, right? So 2005, because we're not including Adam West, we're just including the movies. So that's 2005. So finally, what are we at now? 89 is what I said?
Yeah.
89, 2005.
Yeah, so we're looking at
16, or sorry,
11,
21 years.
so 16 years now.
16 years.
16 years, and then now we're up to Affleck. Batfleck.
Batman and Affleck?
Well, you know what? You guys started saying Batman, and it fucked me up.
Batman versus Superman. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to do.
Batman versus Affleck.
That would be a great movie. 2016. So
that's still like 25 years though.
yeah, but holy fuck, he got recast a lot. So
Lot
it's still
more.
Spider-Man doesn't look as bad. All right, so that's a little bit of insight for you. All right, so let's quickly talk about Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3.
Oh god.
So let's not get into too much details, but so Spider-Man 2, probably the best one out of this trilogy.
It is. It seriously is. But still, he's still a fucking
Is
minor.
it the best Spider-Man movie?
Of those three?
No, in total.
No.
Okay. What's your favorite? What's his favorite Spider-Man movie?
I don't know. It's not that one though. Just because
not two?
Maguire's in it. Yeah, like Maguire's in it. I don't know. It's got to be one of the new ones. I really liked Homecoming. I got to be honest. Even with some of the BS that happened in it, I loved the reimagining of the Vulture. Like Michael Keaton killed it for me.
He's awesome.
It was a little convenient when he ended up being the daughter of the father of the girl that
Right.
Peter wanted to date. But to
you
be
get
honest-
that scene with him talking to Peter. You're like, oh fuck, you're in trouble now,
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah, and it was cool, and that Spider-Man was a little more playful, and he was a little bit more interesting to watch. He was a bit more of kind of a stupid teenager type of guy. You know what I mean? And Maguire's Spider-Man is just so dry and heavy and
I know what you mean.
mournful
Yeah.
to watch. Yeah.
Well, there's something to be said about their age difference, right? Like, I mean, you have an actor like Tobey at the time he was doing these films, he looked more like an adult, or at least a young adult, whereas Tom Holland, in my opinion, right since day one, since we've had him be introduced all the way back to the Avengers movie, to, Civil War is what I should say, all the way up until the most recent movie, Far From Home, he always looks like a young teenage boy. So having casted him, I think, was the best solution they ever did to bring in a young actor who can maintain that look for as long as they need to.
And then there's Spider-Man 3, My Chemical Romance. My God. I watched it once to say I watched it, and then I washed my eyes out with soap, and
I don't even know if I watched that one a second time.
oh my God.
I think if I did, I might have only watched it like one more time just to make sure what I saw was real. It can't be that bad. Watch it again. Oh yeah, it was that bad.
I started watching the movie, and then I realized that by the time the movie was done, I was accidentally dragging a fucking hunting knife across my wrist. And just didn't realize it. I looked down, and I was like, oh dear God, like what's...
Jesus Christ.
That movie was awful. Like, he was so emo. And I mean, he's doing the thing where he's all in black. Oh my God.
It was really
I see what they were
bad.
trying to do, like... I guess it was,
Emo was in at that time.
Raimi was trying to modernize the character, but it was just...
it made him a little
it was
pussy-ass bitch.
awful. And then, on top of all of that, they finally brought in, like, Venom.
I know, and they fucked it
and
up.
then they fucking, like...
Oh,
killed
let's
him
cast
off right
Topher
away.
Grace.
Yes!
What?
Topher
That's not
Grace
Eddie
as
Brock.
Eddie Brock? Are you fucking serious? Like, holy...
Topher Grace is a good actor. He's not fucking Eddie Brock.
Yeah, he certainly is.
He wasn't buff enough, first of all. And look, the thing that pisses me off about Spider-Man 3, like, Venom is so tacked on.
Yeah.
It's like you only needed one villain. And they have 3 villains in this goddamn thing. They
It's
got
just a
Green Goblin, they
clusterfuck.
got Sandman, it's too much. Just one. We just needed one.
Wasn't Lizard in there too?
No.
They saved Lizard for the first
They were gonna
Amazing Spider-Man.
because they were gonna do Lizard in number 4, which they never got to.
Thank God.
I think they were gonna do Lizard and Mysterio in number 4, and they never got to it.
Yeah.
So and then
Well,
so that's those movies.
We really should acknowledge the fact that if we go back to number 2, where a lot of the good stuff really started to happen.
I actually enjoy number 2. I think that's my favorite Spider-Man.
Out of the 3, I would say it's the best.
I think out of all the Spider-Man movies, it's probably still the best Spider-Man movie, just for visuals alone. And I find
Alfred Molina did an amazing job as Doc Ock.
Felt like a more traditional Spider-Man movie, and they kind of worked out some of the kinks from the first movie.
I felt like, the Doc Ock thing though, like I had a hard time. I remember with that because Alfred Molina. Well, I don't know. They stuck so close to the source material, I just couldn't take him serious because he looked like a fucking goofball.
But I thought he looked good.
I think he looked fantastic.
No, he looked like the character, but I mean, if you looked at Doc Ock, like he's the most unappealing thing to look at.
He's supposed to. He's a scientist who locks himself up into a enclosed area who does nothing but scientific work.
Yeah.
He is an awful looking character.
I get it.
But they made him look halfway decent in this movie.
I get it.
How else? They put the
fine.
big
I get it. I just hate the character design. But anyways, the other thing is that they So once that chip, that inhibitor or whatever, comes off of his back, and then these AI arms start influencing Octavius or whatever, they're like, we have a master plan, steal money. Like, how smart is this AI, really? We need money. You probably don't.
Was it so much an AI? I thought it was just a chip that allowed...
It was an AI.
No. The chip limited the AI from affecting his nervous system. Yeah.
Well, that's the way I understood it, was that once it was connected to his nervous system, that they would become one mind, so to speak, so they could share their thoughts so that what he thought they were thinking... I didn't realize it was an AI system because that just establishes a whole new problem.
Yeah, but it's an AI system that hooked into his nervous system. That was like the big thing. So it was like he was like being affected by... I don't know. You know what? It is the best of those 3 at a minimum, right?
I think it's a really good one, actually.
You know what I think was the best part of the second movie? Aside from it being Alfred having been casted there, I really love the fact that they took that character, Doc Ock, and when you really think hard, and this is, again, coming from a guy who doesn't read the comics, I had a very strong... I remembered a lot of the details behind Doc Ock being that he was a peer to Peter. Peter would always look up to Dr. Octavius, right?
He went to the thing to watch him. Well,
they were both scientists at heart, and Doc Ock was in his field for so many years that Peter had been following him for so long that he understood what he was trying to achieve with his work. So, of course, Peter follows him, and then usually, I think at some point in the comics, he goes on to help him to develop most of the gear that Doc Ock starts developing, right? Mm-hmm. So they work beautifully together. So they have this really cool friendship and established relationship well before his arms come into the picture, right?
They do that with, like, in that...
Spider-Man has that relationship with all his villains, almost.
Yeah, exactly. They're always like the dark side of him. But then in that one movie, actually, everything's kind of happening to him at once, right? Like, he's losing his powers. Yeah. He gets all, like, impotent and he can't shoot webs out of his wrist anymore.
Which is stupid because it's supposed to be web shooters.
Yeah, he's dried up, and and
he can't take it seriously.
I'm losing it here. But he's got that, and then Mary Jane is like, what? She's hooking up with another dude, an astronaut or some damn thing.
Oh yeah, it's J. Jonah Jameson's son.
His son, that's right. And then him and Harry are on the outs, and then
she's such a bitch in these movies.
I know, and he's trying to like get back together with her, and she's like, I don't know, he's an astronaut, and I'm like, yeah, fuck him, that guy, fuck.
Well, give me an upside down kiss. Let's see how it feels. I didn't like it. I liked it better when Spider-Man did it. You know, like what?
Nah,
like, do an upside down kiss, John Jameson. I want to see what it feels like. Oh, it's just not the same. Like, get out of here.
Just get a web on your mouth and just...
Whatever. Whatever.
Can't even shoot webs anymore. What kind of man are you? Spider-Man.
Anyways, so... yes, me and Dave, me and Dabu, we have already seen the new Spider-Man, Far From Home. It is awesome. So when you go and see it, you're going to come back and we're going to review it and Spider-Verse.
Okay.
We're going to review those two.
Yeah, Spider-Verse. Yeah.
All right. And then, so what you can do at home, folks, is you can leave us a little message below. Let us know what your favorite Spider-Man movie is. Let us know what you thought of the first Spider-Man. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Do you like Tobey Maguire's acting? Maybe someone does.
Don't do it.
I mean, he's a good enough actor, but he's just not a good Spider-Man. So we're definitely going to be doing some more Spider-Man-centric reviews coming up. And what? You had a problem the way I said that? He gave me a look.
I said sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were like, did you say that right? I did.
How dare you?
Leave a comment below, folks. Let us know what you think of Spider-Man. What's your favorite Spider-Man movie? And you can always follow the conversation at We Promise Nothing. Drop the G. Follow us on Facebook because, hey, we like when you do that. Don't forget to check out Late Night Ticket on Eastlink. We have more than doubled our viewers on Late Night Ticket, and that's only because of you, the fans. We love you so much. Thank you for doing that for us. We couldn't do this show without you. Did I miss anything, guys?
No, you covered it all, my friend.
Well, if you disagree with anything I just said, you can leave a comment below. But as always, we promise nothing. Good night. Night.
I'm Spider-Man.
I'm Spider-Man. Peter Tingle.
Oh, they went off again.
Peter Tingle.